Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning. Welcome to Racing Across America, live from Saratoga on this Friday morning, day before the Whitney. Really nice card tomorrow, but fun day today as well with some stakes action coming up. At this point, the two stakes are on the turf. 2, 4, 10, and 11 are off the turf because we did have some rain overnight into this morning. But again, the two stakes races at this point are still on the turf. So looks like a fun day of racing up here today. Coming up on the show a little bit later on, we'll be joined by Jason Blewitt, West Point Thoroughbreds. They have a giant game coming up tomorrow in the Whitney, Battle of Normandy, and the Saratoga Derby. We'll talk about that, some other horses they have coming up, and much, much more with Jason. And then towards the end of the program, AJ Benton. We have had him on 3 or 4 summers now as he's come to visit. Met him out at Vegas when we were doing the NHC, when we were out there covering the Horse Players Tournament out there a couple of years. A clever contest player. I see his name in some of the online contests, zooming up to the top. But a couple of years ago, ran a nice third in the NHC and walked away with $150,000. So we'll talk contest playing, maybe get some ideas for today as well with AJ Benton. But top of the show, happy to be joined by Kip O'Neill from Windylea Farm. They're based over in Hoosick Falls, and they're breeders, they're owners, and so far at Saratoga done pretty well. We'll talk about that and more. Kip, good morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Happy to have you on because, as I say, you guys are New York breeders and owners, and we'll talk a little bit about both of those aspects. But as I was doing a little research last night, I was intrigued that you guys are kind of just over the border now in Hoosick Falls, but Windylea kind of started with your father, and I think we have a picture in the paddock of you and your dad that I pulled off the internet, your late father, so you can tip your cap to him as founding things, but it started over in Vermont.
It did. Well, that's where the homestead was, and actually still is. Both my parents are now deceased, but we started there. That's where I grew up, and it just became, natural as a progression of our business in 16 or 17 to look for property in New York State based on our influence in with the New York breeding program and so on. And so we found a nice spot over in Hoosick Falls. It needs some work, but we think it's a little hideaway. Not too many people know where it is, and you need a map to get to it. So it's nice. It's secluded. We've got about 80 acres over there, and I think the whole crew does a really good job of. We've got mares and babies. We don't take too many racehorses there. Most of the racehorses are either on the track or we'll rehab them at other places. But, up until the time they go to the yearling sale, which we've got some in next weekend at the New York bred sale, up until that time, they're on the farm.
And I'm guessing, you hop on 67 and you're 45 minutes away or something?
Yeah, about 45 minutes. Yeah.
So you're right in the neighborhood. Also, I pulled up a shot because when I was doing some of the research, you were over there in Vermont. You referred to being a youngster and couldn't get into the track, but you managed to watch some races. I never went to Green Mountain, which I completely regret, but a lot of people have fond memories, particularly when this place didn't run on Sundays. You could go over the border on the dark day here and watch a little horse racing at Green Mountain.
Well, I can guarantee I'm not one of the people in that crowd because I was only 9 or 10 years old, so I had to sneak up into the clocker stand and watch races from what was the 5/8 pole, but it was also, it was kind of the start pole for most of the races. And it was a lot of fun. It's kind of where I got my, my feet wet into racing and so on. And I've loved it ever since.
And we were laughing and talking before you came on the air. You said, like many of us, got started maybe legally before it was. I think all of us have those stories of kind of going into the OTB. And
when I'm running, there's no cell phones, right? So Dad would come over every couple of races, and what do you like here? What do you like here? And I'm not really sure it was a good thing, but Hey, it taught banking. There's a lot of good things that came out of it.
Yeah.
There's probably some negatives too, but it's all right.
Well, believe me, as I say, we all have those stories. Talk a little bit about also, again, you're a New York-based outfit, obviously, and New York breds and owners and breeders. On the owner side of things, you have to be ecstatic with 2023. We'll talk in a moment about a nice start to Saratoga, certainly. But you were the leading owner at the Aqueduct Winter Meet.
Yeah, while we finished out 22, Finger Lakes has always been our base. And so we finished out 22 as the leading owner there. We were leading money owner in 21, but we won all categories in 22. And then we were able to transition some of those horses, as we did in 21, down into New York, both into Mark Henning's barn and into Rob Actress's barn. And that proved fruitful again. It's always, New York runs 12 months a year. I joke with Joe McMahon all the time. People think New York racing ends, when Saratoga ends. And it doesn't. I mean, they pay those purses all year round. It's a little less, but money still cashes. And so, that's a focus of ours, is to run 12 months a year in New York State and be really a prominent owner breeder, et cetera, in that. And so, we may have taken a few shots and lost a few horses along the way to win that title, but I'll take it.
What were you getting down, and were you kind of like, okay, we're close, so let's see?
I'm not going to go there necessarily, but I don't know. We lost a filly that we won with first time out that I thought would be more prominent coming back. She's run a couple good races, but she seems to have tailed off of late. So I was kind of hoping not to lose her, honestly. Yeah. But, when you're running to win all the time, as we are, and you're running claiming horses for the most part, you've got to place them where they can compete. Otherwise, you get their head beat in, they're not going to compete for you.
And for folks who don't know, I don't think we ever talked about this. When do you find out? Like a horse after the race, they come and they put the tag on the bridle right in the unsaddling area. So is that when you find? How do you find out when the horse has been? When one of your horses?
I'll get a text or a call from the trainer.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gone. Basically, it's just nice race, they're gone. Yeah. Or maybe we're happy they're gone. Type of thing.
Yeah. But that's the procedure, right?
It is the procedure. They'll put the tag on. I'm not sure they always put the tag on, but I know the trainers tend to always know. Okay,
all right, let's talk a little bit about. Oh, well, you mentioned your trainers now, so tell us who your trainers are. You've mentioned a couple in New York.
So John Buckley's been our trainer up at Finger Lakes for over 40 years. I met John. I was a kid still, and he's trained for us. He trained my first horse ever. I claimed a horse as soon as I got an open owner's license when I turned 18, and I was at college at the time, so I spent more time focused on that. I meant horse racing, and she was good. She won like 26 races. I don't think she eclipsed $100,000, but that was back in the day. It was back in the 80s. Yeah. And John's been our trainer up there since then, and we've had a lot of success with him. Down here in New York, Mark Henning trains a string for us, and Rob Actress trains a string for us, and we're very happy with both of them. They both do a tremendous job. The communication is key with both of with all the outfits trained for us throughout the whole country, and even up into Canada, because I like to think that I can look at the condition book and pick out spots. But if I don't know how the horse is doing, I'm looking for the wrong spot. And so it's been great working with everybody that we've got on our team.
Talk a little bit about that, your relationship with the trainer and how you decide where horses are going to get spotted. So you're looking at the condition book and you're consulting with them, I assume.
Absolutely. Yeah. First of all, let's say a horse runs, we'll let give the horse 2, 3, 4 days, see how they come out of the race, put them back on the track, see how they're doing, and then we'll start to look for a spot. And inevitably, we'll review rider, and more times than not, we'll stick with the same rider unless they may have a double call and they take something else, or it's time to make a change. Equipment, we'll look at equipment, whether we need to take blinkers off, add blinker, remove a little bit blinker, whatever it might be, and also distance and surface. Here, you can work with. So maybe horses need more or less of each. So, and then the level. If they're not competitive and there's no excuse, then there's really no reason to go back in that same spot. You're not doing them any justice. You're not doing yourself any justice. to put them back against the same crew, unless they're just, like a brand new horse like we ran yesterday, first time starter. He's just getting educated, so that's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it, because again, you've gotten off to a nice start. I pulled up a replay going back to July 16th. Ouster, Dylan
That's a
Davis.
good replay.
Dylan Davis on board, Mark Hennig train. But again, doing a little research last night, you wind up with a nice horse here who, again, 11 starts, 12 starts now with 4 wins, looking at this race. So, and a Saratoga win. But as I read the research, it sounds like you tried to pinhook this horse at one point, and so you were kind of lucky to have him in the barn.
Well, he was a nice horse. We bought him as a yearling here in Saratoga at 19. And the thing was, we kind of playing all facets of the game. So my dad, he was still around at the time. And so he said, well, let's try the pinhooking thing. So we bought 6 horses that year, and we were going to try and pinhook 2 or 3. And this horse is pretty forward. And it was down at Robbie Harris's training center. And Robbie said, this horse will be all right. He's growing. He's big outwork colt, the whole thing. Well, he got to the OBS sale, and he worked okay, but he had a little inflammation in a knee, and he just it wasn't anything big. But, we set the reserve at a point, and then I saw people bidding on him, and then I got a little cold feet, and I bid on him and bought him back. So I'm glad I did, but it did take us 2 more years to get him to the races.
But as I say, now you've got a nice little horse there with the 4 wins in 12 starts and a Saratoga win. Nice way to kick off.
Yeah, he's a really nice horse.
Kick off the Saratoga meet. Will we see him again before the end of the meet?
There's a race back for him. If he's doing well, we'll enter him back. We're going to work him next week, and we'll see how it goes.
Let's watch another win. Going back just a few days ago, July 29th, going to be the number 9 Volkert for Mark Hennig. And again, give us your thoughts here. This one. On the turf. Give us your thoughts coming down the stretch, and again, putting up another Saratoga win.
Well, with Volkert, he surprised us his first time out of his life. He paid $130 some. I don't know who bet on him. I don't know anybody that did. He wasn't quite 100% tight that
this
day.
Is a nice gutsy performance.
But then he kind of went a little bit off form. We tried the dirt with him up at Finger Lakes last year. Then he had a non racing related injury occur, so we had to give him some time, and we brought him back, and we tried him on dirt a little bit this spring, picked up a check or something. Now he's back on the surface he needs to be on. He was the favorite the time before last. Dylan had to eat him for about a quarter mile, and when I saw him at 20 something to 1 the other day, I said, this is the same crew. When the whole thing with him is he's got to get the trip, and he got the trip the other day. Dylan made a nice split. The favorite came on the outside of us, has by almost half length. But this horse is gutsy. When he's in the dogfight, there's not much to him. Outwork, or the Ouster probably outweighs him by 300 or 400 pounds, but this horse has got it in the heart. When he's in a dogfight, he'll try.
Yeah, you love to see that, because as you say, he gets passed by the 2-1 favorite. He's 25-1 and comes back on the favorite and holds them off by a head. You got to love that. You kind of alluded to this, but I also wanted to pull up another win from just the last couple of weeks. But I wanted to go up. It's a Woodbine win, Destinique. And given that this horse was trained by Marty Drexler, and you've kind of, as I say, alluded to it already, if you're running horses with Marty Drexler, you're running horses fairly regularly up at Woodbine?
Well, we've only got 2 with Marty at the moment. And, the weather did us a favor right before this race. She's really a Tapeta specialist, and it was on the turf up until about 30 minutes before. They got a nice thunderstorm, took it off the turf. 3 of the 5 favorites scratched. She ended up the favorite, and she got the job done.
Serendipity isn't bad in the game.
No, we take it all. There's enough bad in this game that we don't want to talk about. That when you get some good luck going your way, it's okay. The reality is that she's pretty well bred. I'm not sure if we're going to run her back, or we may look to put her into a digital sale. She's got a half brother that's working smartly out on the West Coast that went for a lot of money as a 2-year-old this spring. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. And again, you're alluding to this with your discussions about, pin hooking and playing the claiming game and maybe selling some horses that have run well. The other side of the game I wanted to touch on and pulled up a replay. You bred this one. We're going to go back and look at a stakes race from 2020, the Floral Park. It's Lead Guitar. She winds up in 2020 being New York bred female sprinter and female turf horse. Lead Guitar here is a Windylea bred horse, not owned by you.
Right.
But A, talk about the breeding aspect, and B, talk about, I don't think a lot of people realize, if you breed the horse in New York, and when these horses win, you pick up checks as the breeder. That's got to be a great feeling, just watching your offspring, as it were, go out there and win.
Absolutely. George Schweaver trained this filly, and we sold her as a weanling. She resold for some pretty good dollars as a yearling. She was always a nice filly, and she made a lot of money. She made a lot of money for them. And you're right, the breeding program is in New York. I think that, quite frankly, is second to none. As a breeder and an owner, you can sell them at the sale, and as long as they get in the hands that bring them back to this NYRA program or even Finger Lakes program, then you have the opportunity to make some money back. We still have the mare. Actually, we have a full brother to Lead Guitar in the sale next weekend. A nice colt, a nice McLean's Music colt, and he's pretty
So a full brother.
Yeah, full brother. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And like I said, we still have the mare. She's back in foal this year at Army Mule.
Oh, very good. Army Mule's turning out to be okay. So again, just update us then on what the sale is going to be like for you guys.
Well, so we breed about 15 to 18 mares a year, and we look to be commercial with as many as possible. They don't all come out 100% correct. They don't all come out, where they're healthy and growing the right way at the right time for this sale. But we have 6 in the sale. Hopefully 6 make it over here. Anything can happen in the last week.
Yeah.
All the stories are there. But the sale should be good. The weekend sale, the sale Sunday and Monday will really, maybe it's Monday and Tuesday, will really dictate a little bit of how the New York Reds sale is going to go. And those horses are on the grounds now, so I'll look at those this weekend. But we feel good about what we've got in the sale. And also, we had some that we sold last year that looked like they're working forwardly, that they could, either make an impact here or down at Aqueduct when we ship back down there.
Nice. And this New York bred sale, I think, has become very popular over the past 4 or 5 years.
Well, there's so much money in the program.
Yeah.
And, when you're running for $80-some thousand and you're only running against a full crop of 1,000 to 1,100, it's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
It's a good area to focus for us. And we enjoy it. We've got a great team back at the farm that does a fabulous job. And very well tenured. We've got a lot of staff that's been with us a long time, and they get the horses ready, and we're hoping for the best.
Always happy to have folks in, so when our viewers see names in the program, they can put a face to the name in the program. And if you see Windylea, Kip O'Neill from Windylea Farm, happy to talk to you. And again, you've got the whole thing covered. As owners, off to a good start at the meet. You have to be thrilled with the start.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be upset with that. Yeah. We'll see what happens today, but we've got quite a few more to enter. I think we've got 7 to enter next week. So Rob's got a few that are getting ready to be entered, and we've claimed some here this meet with him. So hopefully they'll get
to win some shakes.
We won a 12-way shake, a 6-way shake, and then there was one that we had no shakes. That's a little scary.
Oh, yeah.
But when you get a claim slip and there's no shake here, it's a little scary. But there was 6 horses claimed in the race.
About that, but
so it's a little bit comforting that at least 6 of the 10 horses were claimed. So everybody just had a different taste. That's all.
Kip, really appreciate the visit. Wish you a lot of good luck today. You have the MTO coming in and going forward on the meet, but appreciate your stopping by.
Thank you very much.
Kip O'Neill from Windylea. Coming up next, he's in the house. Jason Blewitt from West Point Thoroughbreds. Again, they have a couple of stakes runners tomorrow. We'll talk about those and looking forward to some of their other runners coming up as well. Stay tuned. All of that right after this.
Turn your love of racing into savings with equine discounts through the NTRA. Purchase through equine discounts and receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Hey, as promised before the break, it's our friend Jason Blewitt from West Point Thoroughbreds. Good morning.
Hey, Seth. How's it going?
Very good. Happy to have you in here on board. Day before a couple of nice runners from West Point and a couple of big races up here at Saratoga. We'll talk some Giant Game and some Battle of Normandy. But first, just some background info. You've been with West Point for a while now. Just fill us in on your work at West Point. I mean, people remember you years ago here at Naira, then you were down at Gulfstream, but now West Point, and you're kind of bouncing back and forth based down in Florida. But I know your wife's from Saratoga, so you get a lot of time up here in the summer, obviously.
Which is great. I always tell people, I'm like, it's a tough gig. Someone's got to do it. Fort Lauderdale in the winter, Saratoga springs in the summer. But no, been about 2.5 years with West Point, Seth. It's gone by quick. It's been amazing. I mean, it really, I think I was on with you last year and I said, any sort of expectations I could have or would have had when I took the gig, other than it not wanting to be a train wreck or go horribly wrong or hating the job, it's exceeded any sort of expectations I could have had. And then the bonus to it all was starting about 9 weeks before a colt by Tappet was debuting out at Santa Anita named Flightline, who you may have heard of. So to get to go on that whole ride, riding his coattails for those 2 years, I mean, that'll likely never happen again. So to have experienced that firsthand, have been up close to his greatness was, I mean, it's something truly I think about every single day. There's not a day that goes by I don't think how lucky and blessed I was to have gotten to experience that.
I went to your Twitter feed last night and I pulled up Facing Tipton. Why not? They're going to brag a lot. You put the banner up. They've got the big Flightline banner on the building.
I want it though. After the sale, I'm like, I wonder where that's going, man. We can hang that down on the house in Florida.
Yeah,
there it is.
Beautiful. But again, grad from right over here. And I'll ask because you guys at West Point, you play very extensively in the sales all year long, the various sales, yearlings, 2-year-olds and whatnot. You guys, I'm assuming, are looking at horses over here for this week.
Yeah, for sure.
Both sales, the Maine and the New York bred?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, we love the New York bred program. In fact, had a New York bred filly. Didn't run all that great, but had a New York bred 2-year-old filly that ran here on Wednesday named Belvoir, who you might want to file away, maybe worth betting in her second start. She'll come back with blinkers. Just was a little green, got a little tired. But no, the big one and the New York bred one will be at both for sure.
Yeah, nice. And give people an idea. We just had a breeder in here talking about getting ready for the sale and whatnot. What's it like for people who are considering buying? I mean, you guys work with consultants, I assume, and then go over, look on the page, look up the breeding, but a lot of it is also just looking at the horse. And what I hear from people, a lot of it is not just the physicality. People look for the mental aspect over there as well. How are these horses handling the crowd and that?
Yeah. And one that's got presence, you're judging all that. And I'm not going to come on here and pretend that I'm some expert bloodstock guy or, someone that, raises the horses or anything like that, from basically the paddock to the yearling sales. But no, you can vibe it out in terms of just looking at basic conformation. Obviously, the beauty of being so old now, in my mid-40s. I've seen, you look back through
You're
a catalog. Yeah, I don't know about that, my friend. I don't feel like a pup, but sires, of course, but a lot of dams you remember, or even families looking back at the page. So those are some things that I tend to hone in on. But it's a good time. I mean, the Keeneland September sale is great, and it's awesome being at Keeneland. But I mean, yourself, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this know. I mean, just the social atmosphere when you're across the street for those 2 nights for the Facing Tipped and the primetime sale. I mean, it is a good time. And David and Gordo is our bloodstock agent. He him and his team, everything kind of funnels down and flows down from David and his crew into the West Point buying team.
Yeah, I had him on earlier in the meeting. It's interesting to hear a bloodstock guy and his take on the game and whatnot. And a few days before that, I had his wife, Cherie DeVoe, for folks who don't know,
yep.
The trainer married to David and Gordo. Pulled up, and I was kind of doing some more research this morning and going down the Twitter feeds and whatnot. And so I asked the guys if they could pull up an extra replay I hadn't called for yesterday, but we'll go back and show it. From just a few days ago, race number 1. It is a West Point Thoroughbred runner. Carson's Run gets it done. Will be the number 3 horse here. And I was intrigued. Nice little story in that it's named after one of the partner's sons who has an affliction similar to Cody Dortmund. And so it was a debut win for West Point, obviously. Very thrilling up here at Saratoga, but has a nice story attached to it.
An amazing story. Named after Carson Jost, whose dad, Wade Jost, graduated from the academy, went to West Point, graduated with Terry in the class of 1986. Wade had always said, one of these days I want to name a horse, because his son, Carson, is 30, in his early 30s, confined to a wheelchair, and has the same genetic affliction as Cody Dortmund. So to have that, that backstory, and it was picked up. Joe Bianca, who works for the team now, really did a nice sort of, story ahead of the race, and that got picked up. So again, to have that buzz of people just rooting for the horse prior to the race, and I even inadvertently, I think, cold watered a few of my buddies that I didn't get a congratulation text from them. I'm like, I think he's going to need one in all likelihood. That wasn't the case. But again, aside from that faux pas on my end, to have sort of, those feel-good vibes before the race, and then for him to come out and run as well as he did, and then sort of the post-race celebration, I mean, we need those reminders. It's been a tough 5 years or so in a lot of different areas, as we all know, in this game that we love so much. So I remember saying to my wife after the race, I was like, that's why we do this. That's why we love the game so much. So just a really special moment with the colt that, clearly has some talent.
Yeah, and again, I wanted to show that one because it had a nice story attached to it. It's always great to get a win up at Saratoga, debut win up at Saratoga, but then you toss in the story. Let's see if we can maybe talk about some more stories on the weekend. In the Whitney, you guys have Giant Game. I pulled up the Cornhusker. Giant Game's going to be the number 1 horse here. Skippy Longstockings will run second. I had Tommy in the other day, Tommy Bellhouse. He said maybe heading to Charlestown for the big race, but you wind up tomorrow in the Whitney. What are the thoughts? What's Dale saying? Dale Roman's saying about Giant Game going into the Whitney tomorrow?
Well, now, Dale, we know, and we love Dale. I don't know if he's ever saddled a horse that he didn't just love and was doing phenomenal, but it seems like this horse is really, really doing excellent. Shipped into Saratoga, van from Churchill on Monday, watched him jog over the wet track here just about 45 minutes ago. He's at the top of his game, clearly outside of Cody's wish. It's a Whitney that's maybe a little light, and just as far as numbers go, in terms of just quantity. I mean, there's some quality in the race, and I've been a pretty big Charge It fan too, in his short career. So I'm anxious to see how he's going to do. But, the more Dale and the Albaws talked about it along with West Point, it was like he's got speed, Giant Game. He's clearly come back better than he was as a 2-year-old after, it was a rough time in the winter of his 3-year-old season. Just you have all these expectations and you're so excited, and he had a little bit of a breathing issue, but he's come back, and I think he's eclipsed where he was, even Breeders' Cup Day in 2021. He's fast, he's game, he's determined. So we'll take a shot. And, for Dale loving most of the horses he trains and runs, he's also not afraid to take on Goliath. And, we'll try to get Dale a second Whitney alongside Roses and May there on Saturday here.
A solid 99 buyer in that Cornhusker. So looking forward to that one. tomorrow, and tomorrow also in the Saratoga Derby, again, the second leg of that turf series. You guys have Battle of Normandy in there. I pulled up an allowance race, Pimlico, back on May 19th. The winner will be Jewel Stone, but running second will be Battle of Normandy. Give us some thoughts in the Saratoga Derby tomorrow on Battle of Normandy, again, coming out of the second place finish last time down at Pimlico.
Here he comes, Black Cap, spun wide off the turn, backstretch run, and again with the tents and all that stuff. Black-Eyed Susan Day and, of course, Preak this weekend, they have a different angle. And I remember down the backside, I'm like, man, I just do not like the spot he's in. And he's more of a late-running, grind-you-down type. I mean, that's just him. And that's, naturally a trip you're going to have to deal with. I didn't love, again, just the way the race played out. Didn't think he was ever in a great spot. And as a result, I think it cost him the win. It's clearly a difficult
100
race
yards
tomorrow.
from the wire, it's hard to believe he wasn't going to wind up fourth. So he grinds out the second. It was a big late run.
Yeah, he tries hard. And, win, lose, or draw tomorrow. This will be naturally a very good baseline to see where Battle of Normandy sits with some of the better horses in his division. And, he's run well in just about all of his races. He won up here last summer. He nearly won that, the With Anticipation as a 2-year-old. So he likes Saratoga. He's training great. If he doesn't run well tomorrow, and actually I'm hoping he does, we can always drop back down to an A other than. But Shug was like, you know what? Let's just roll the dice because he's training phenomenal. And on numbers, he's not that far. We were looking at Ragozin, or I was looking at the Ragozin numbers. He's not that far behind the Far Bridges of the world. So let's hopefully get some good racing luck with him for a change and, have a horse that I really, truly think has another level or two that he will get to. Whether it's tomorrow or next week, that remains to be seen. But I think there's way more in the tank than we've seen so far.
That was, again, a good effort given the situation. A nice close in the stretch. So we'll look for Battle of Normandy as well.
And he'll come back, too, not to cut you off. Signator is coming back tomorrow, too.
I have Signator to talk a little bit about him because I wanted to mention him as well.
Yeah, I mean, he was a horse very early on, had some buzz in terms of a very early Kentucky Derby favorite. You think about the highs and lows and craziness of this game. So it's Breeders' Cup weekend. We have Flightline in the Classic. I mean, just the greatest moment ever. The morning after, Signator is, or I should say the day after, he's 3-5 in the program for the Nashua. And with Peace and Love, I think a race he probably could have won in reverse, but had an issue, had a scratch. And again, he has not run since the middle of October. So it's taken a little while to get him back. I will say 7, not his trip really, 7 furlongs. He's got a tough post. The field is a Whitney Day caliber other than. So again, much like a Battle of Normandy or Giant Game, just want to see a good effort. And I think naturally, I'm already in my mind thinking what's Signator going to be like once he has this race under his belt. But he should run well, and he's trained. I mean, I've watched him breeze the last 3 Saturdays up here. He's really working great.
All right, we'll look for him. And I had a couple others I wanted to touch on. When we had Tommy in here, Tommy Bellhouse, we talked Sands of War. I had Cherie DeVoe towards the beginning of the meeting. She mentioned that one, and I think we have a shot of the auction page for this first-time starter. And you go down the page a little bit. The dam I have to justify. And so there's a little bit of breeding here. We were looking for him when Tommy was in, but subsequently scratched that day. Now comes back, and you're looking, Sunday for this?
Sunday, race one on Sunday. She was originally in last Sunday, no turf racing, or they ran the race Jerry the Nipper won late in the card. So didn't get to debut last Sunday. So she's trained well. We know Cherie is not a, super crank them up first out. I mean, when they're ready, she's going to run them, but it's about a career with her. But I expect her to run well. Big, good looking filly. Not, most of the war fronts are on the more smaller side, but she's got some size. And I mean, it's pretty cool to have a 2-year-old in the barn just out of a half sister to justify.
There's some breeding there on the page, certainly. Sands of War, that one is. And I also wanted to pulled up the replay from July 1st, Northern Invader, and we were talking with Tommy about that one, and things were still a little bit up in the air. But I, again, invite people to go to your website. Your website is great for following things, and you look ahead to things that are in the book, and it looks like we may see Northern Invader down at Colonial and Secretariat.
That's the plan. Now, I've been running around, my friend. This is him turf debut. This was right around 4th of July. I mean, Cherie had said, and he had run big. His first 2 starts were on the dirt, near misses in both, big figs. I mean, quality fields. I mean, he had really run well on the dirt in his 2 races over the spring at Churchill. But Cherie had been saying all along, wait till I put him on the grass. You're going to see an even better horse. And I was like, oh, I don't know. He's been pretty good on the dirt. And she was absolutely right. So the secretariat for him, we had toyed with maybe running him in the Hall of Fame. She's got more than looks. What's the story with the turf right now? Is that race still on as we speak?
The 2 stakes are still on today, but I haven't heard a condition. But
okay.
The 2 stakes are staying on. The other races are off today. But so we'll look for Northern Invader down the road. And again, it looks like another fun Saratoga up here for the folks at West Point. We'll wish you a lot of good luck tomorrow, Giant Game and Battle of Normandy, and going ahead with the rest of the runners. And Jay, it's always fun to have you in and shoot the breeze a little bit. Enjoy the rest of your time in Saratoga, because as they say, I know you get the summer up here with the in-laws and whatnot.
Yep. So
make the most of the time up here. And thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, sounds good, Seth. All the best to you, and love Capital OTV, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Keep it up.
All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, AJ Benton is in the house. We'll talk a little contest play with AJ, as he's been a top 10 runner in the NHC in the past. So we'll get some thoughts on that, maybe some thoughts from today. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, joined now by our friend AJ Benton. We met him a few years back when we were out covering the NHC for a couple of years out in Vegas. And man, if you've never been, and I always tout contest play, go online. You can play some online contests and try to qualify. There's nothing like that group out there out in Vegas every year for the NHC. But AJ has done very well in the contest. We'll talk about that and more, get some ideas from today as well. AJ, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks, Seth, for having me on again. Really, really appreciate being on here. It's great. You're on the backside of Saratoga. It's beautiful. The weather, not really ideal.
Tomorrow
will be better. But we got, the best horses in the country. They're all vying for everything, and there's everything on the line for the end of the year too. For Breeders' Cup. Have
you been watching so far? I mean, I think the start of the meet has been very good. Last week, Elite Power, Forte, Ding Dong Battle with Saudi Crown. That 3-year-old picture is going to be fun to see how things sort out in the Travers.
Yeah, I think Saudi Crown's really, really nice horse. I really think with age he's going to be quite a big man moving forward. Elite Power, he's just unbelievable. Yeah. He's got such a late closing kick, and he just erupts down the stretch. And if you had the horse that was in the lead, you would have thought you would have been home. But
I did. I had Gunite.
Oh, you did?
And I did think I was home.
Yeah. He just comes with those big, penetrating strides, and he just grinds you away in a matter of 4 or 5 strides. So great racing. So NHC was great. We had, I had 2 entries this time, so it was a little bit different. And I tried to I learned a couple of things from it, so I can put in the category for next time. But great time, awesome people. Those people love that event, and I've met countless people over the years, and they're all, the people that end up at Saratoga. And I always say to my buddies and stuff, you know what I mean? These people that are even here today, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was that person just here at the races, and here I am now. So,
And you're based over Massachusetts, correct?
No, New Hampshire.
Oh, New Hampshire. Yeah, New Hampshire.
Manchester. Yeah. And there's no horse racing by me, so this is my home away from home. And I come up here every year. I'll be up here Labor Day weekend because it's the closest I can get to live racing, and I need it in my life somewhere.
And let's sit on the NAC because I pulled up a couple of shots, and I pulled up the leaderboard from 2020. That was your best finish, right? You were number 3, and if people can see on the board there, 2022, excuse me, 2022, as people can see on the board there. Walked away with 150K. Nice job.
Yeah, it was great. I was $21 short of winning the whole event. But I went down with the horse that I liked. So, and he was a big price, and it just didn't come to fruition. And I figure if you put yourself in the batter's box enough times, you possibly could hit a home run moving forward, and hopefully moving on in years to come, I give myself some more shots at it.
And again, I think I was texting you this year as I was watching. I was listening to Bick doing the radio show. He does a great job. I've said many, many times before, when he first said, I'm going out to Vegas to cover the contest, I thought a radio show covering a horse racing, but it's great. He brings people in, and they're shooting the breeze and strategies and whatnot. So listening to him this year, and then just watching the leaderboard early on, you were kind of popping up, and I was texting you. Was this the first year you had 2 entries?
First year I had 2 entries, yeah.
To me, 2 entries seems like a puzzle.
It's a crossword puzzle on a crossword puzzle. So you have to be very, very selective. I figured I would take all the horses that I watched all year that I absolutely loved on entry 2, and I would dabble a little bit and try and get horses with some value. Maybe if they ran second, or even if they won, it would move that ticket up moving forward. And I would have 2 somewhere in the mix moving into day 2, but it just didn't happen. And I think if I had to do it over again, I would definitely do it over again. I think it's the right idea, but people would say that, you play 2 tickets in unison, and you take 1 horse on both tickets, and you just keep getting them to, the cut line. And then after that, when you go into Sunday, you have a massive advantage with those 2 tickets, because you can, move and take longer shot horses, or you can take 2 in the same race if you're torn. But gives you options anyways moving forward.
And that to me seems a little more logical, to kind of use both tickets to get to a certain point, and then you can diverge a little bit. Do you play both kinds of contests? Do you play the pick and pray like the NHC, and the BCBC is a live money? Do you play both kinds? And if you do you have a preference?
I prefer $2 win place. I'm very, very comfortable in that form. I've tried to move into cash a little bit more this year. BCBC is a huge animal. You have $10,000, well, $7,500 after the fee, and you have to bet a certain amount of races over the 2 days, and you're realistically going to have to get to 140,000 in 2 days. So it's a long jump, but there are cash games that are lower. If you want to get into lower, you can get in for, I'm sure, between $150 and $500. You can get into those cash games, and you can get experience that way. Same thing with the $2 win place. If you're first starting out, I always suggest to everybody, there's a $1 game. It's literally $1. You can do whatever you want in there. I still play in it today because, if you're trying to tinker with stuff, or trying to get used to contest play and see how you compare to the other players that have been playing year in, year out for, decades, some of them, you can compare it and see, how close you are to them. Everybody has a good day. It might be yours. And, you might be able to get into Vegas, and it's a bucket list item for anybody. It's a great time. They do a great job with the event. They treat you very, very well. They treat you like royalty. Same thing as the Breeders' Cup. They treat you insanely great. They really show a lot of love to the horse player. And if you're fortunate enough to get to that event and play in that event, it's a trip, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
I will vouch because, again, we were out covering it live for a couple years, 3 or 4 years ago. I went 2 years in a row. Hopefully we'll get back out there. Hopefully I get out there as a player. And I was in I told this story yesterday as well. I was in a qualifier, an online qualifier. Probably it had to be one of the last ones. It was like 2 weeks before this year's, and I was 80 cents behind going to Vegas. Oh, no. But again, and the way I do it, you talk about there are all kinds of different price points for the online contest, and you're wearing a Hawthorne Invitational. A lot of the tracks, Hawthorne does a great job. Monmouth does a great job with contests, and keep that all in mind. And as I say, if you go to the Capital OTB website, we have those tourney bet contests as well. But the price point I go to is the weekday qualifiers for the actual qualifier on the weekend. That's $12. You get in, and then you qualify for like $160 contest.
Yeah, and the ownership in that is a lot lower because people don't want to fork over $165. So if you can get in for $12 or $18, you're getting great value for your money. You know what I mean? You don't have to buy the qualifying entry. You don't have to pay the $75 on Friday. You don't have to pay the $165 on Saturday or the $210 or the $125s that they run on. You can, if you do good in the morning, you can move on to the afternoon. And I've seen people that have had a really hot morning and they just run through it in the afternoon and they get their seats that way, or prizes or anything else. There's so much money to be had in the contest world. It's enormous.
Yeah, and I always say it's a lot of fun, and you think a little bit differently with your handicapping in the online. I do horse players a lot, and again, for $12 or $18, as you say, varies. But I have figured I can score, and you don't have to win. Depending on how many people are in, it can be the top 5 move on to the weekend. But I have kind of figured out I can move on about 1 out of every 5. So the $12 just makes sense for me because I'm paying much less than the actual fee.
It's substantial value for you.
Yeah.
So you're turning 12 into $60, say, for your 5 entries, right? So you turn that into a $165 entry. So you're getting 2 to 1 on your money. And also it's like going to a sporting event. These things usually last 2 or 3 hours. So if you're going to watch a basketball game, a baseball game, a hockey game, a football game, you're pretty much doing the same thing, but you have a rooting interest. For those people that, gamble on sports, you get the same thrill the other way with horses too.
Yeah, no, a lot of fun. I've been touting contests for a long time. And again, you do great. We also had a picture. We're going to have Tom Rooney in this weekend. I think on the Sunday show, Tom Rooney, the president of the NHC, made a shot of you and Tom, I'm guessing it was the year you won a couple of years ago because he had congratulations and deserved congratulations on the 150K.
Oh man, yeah, it was amazing. Hopefully I can do some more interesting things moving forward into the future. I'm truly hoping.
Have you qualified?
Yes, I have. I've already qualified. I qualified like 2 weeks ago on a Friday 75.
And you were playing online?
Yep, I played online. Yep.
So it is possible, and you can go on and maybe you can win 150. Although you are, I every once in a while I wind up in a contest and I'll see your name there, and you make some clever moves certainly. So we'll see if we can get some clever moves for today. Let's get a look at some of the action this afternoon. Again, they're off the turf. 2, 4, 10, and 11. The 2 stakes races remain on the turf, but the third race today was scheduled for main track, remains on the main track. Third race, we're looking at $10,000 claimers going 3/4 of a mile. What did you see in race number 3?
I like the 3 Zerts, 28% second off the claim. He's got mud pedigree. He's a super saver and a Munnings. Could run decent in here. He's down with his friends now, so you know what I mean. I'm sure you'll find out how good he really is today.
Yeah, he was claimed 2 back for 12.5. They ran for 12.5. They got a second. They put some money in the bank. Now they take half a step down to 10,000. That's not a drop that you have to be suspicious about.
Yeah, just a little lateral move.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And you're getting 5 to 1. And my partner on the morning show was talking about Zerts as well, and we were saying in this field, I think the 5 to 1 is legit. You may even get a little more value there. So
yeah, possibly. Yeah,
a
little upside.
Race number 3, horse number 3, Zerts. Let's go to the 5th race today. B condition, $50,000 claimer. 7 furlongs is the trip. What did you see in race number 5?
I thought Laughing Boy, the 6 horse, is just so interesting. He's a horse I've been following for a long time, and he never takes any money. And like, this is like the lowest morning line I've ever seen him at. It just doesn't make any sense to me. How he's 6-1 in here, it just boggles my mind.
Oh, you're the last 8 races he's been double digits.
Yeah, so I think the cutback in distance is going to help him exponentially. I also believe that the mud will actually help him exponentially. And going to Jacobson is always a very good upgrade. He's 24% first off the claim. He gets IRAD. You know, he's going to sit a decent trip in this field. He's probably going to sit mid-pack most of the race, I would think.
Yeah, I wondered if David Aragona wasn't looking at the little IRAD when he made the morning line, because that will take a point or two off, certainly.
Yeah, he should be 15-1 in this field. And
yeah, we're looking at 6-1, and as you say, the last race 51-1, 10-1, 39-1, 32-1, 26-1.
Just a horse that never takes money. So,
and the 6th race this afternoon. Maiden 20 claimers going 6. Your thoughts on the 6th?
So I think Happy Bob is your vulnerable favorite today. Okay. I think that the curious play in here would probably be the horse coming off the turf, Run DMZ, the 6 horse. He's 10-1 morning line. He gets Dylan Davis. It's handle. He drops from 40 to 20 after showing speed and fade. And I think with his pedigree, he might actually like turf, being a Carpe Diem. I know they're more precocious on turf, but they can still run decent on dirt too. He just looks very interesting to me.
Yeah, Ray Handel having an okay meet so far, and the surface switch you have with this one doesn't really scare me. Nice workout leading into this on the dirt, and the drop maybe mitigates the surface move a little bit. You get 10-1 there. I didn't put that one in my mix, but as you were talking, that one is a little bit intriguing. Dylan Davis has been going okay, so some things that are interesting in there.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to admit I used Happy Bob, but not with super amount of confidence in there. So
yeah, I definitely wouldn't single him if I were you. He just looks so vulnerable in there.
Speaking of that, what are your favorite bets?
So for me, I like doubles. I love exactas. And I'll take swings at the pick 6 if I can find somebody that I can single, most likely either a favorite or a price that I absolutely like that I've been following. I'll single them in a pick 6, but it's pretty much doubles and exactas. I want that money.
Since the picks have become, I was just talking with Steve Bick either on the radio or when we were in here doing the Sunday show, and he said, if you're in like a little slump, start thinking about doubles, because I think a lot of people, since the pick bets came in, and I was kind of guilty of this, like the pick 5, the pick 4, even a pick 3. And it was about a year ago up here, I think, where I started looking at doubles. And I think people have to look at, there is some real value to be had if you look at the doubles. And you only have to hit the 2 races as opposed to 4
or 5 or 6. So for me, I love it because the main fact is you only have to go, most likely, most people are going to go 3 out of 5, 4 out of 6, 3 out of 6. So, and who's to say you're not going to have the horses that win the first 2 legs, and you're like, oh man, I didn't get anything for it. So it's a curious way to play with short money, you know what I mean? And you can get substantial payouts from it.
And you're looking, maybe you get a $50 double, and you were planning to play a pick 6 ticket for $48 or $60. Maybe go a little steeper on your double ticket, and if it pays $50 and you have $10 on it,
makes your day.
That's a decent.
You're going down
ticket.
The streets of somewhere nice.
That's a decent ticket. AJ, as always, appreciate the visit. Wish you a lot of good luck here over the weekend on your visit. Have some fun, certainly, and wish you a lot of good luck out in Vegas as well. Hopefully, we'll go out and be covering sometime in the future also, but more hopefully, I hope I'm sitting next to you playing at some point out there in Vegas, because it is a lot of fun.
Well, Seth, I always wish you the best, buddy. And, if you keep playing them, statistically, you're going to get in at some point, and it'll be an experience you'll never forget. I promise you that. And the people you'll meet there are just absolutely top-class people.
I tout it all the time. It is a great event. And you've done very well, and we wish you good luck in the future also. Again, not just the NHC, but have some fun up here this weekend. Appreciate the visit.
Oh, thank you very much, Seth, as always.
AJ Benton, we will wrap it up for this Friday morning. Again, 2, 4, 10, and 11 off the turf. The stakes races are on. Don't forget Clubhouse Racebook today. It's the Trifecta Challenge. The Bounty Bet. Play the late pick 5 here at Saratoga with your Capital OTB bet account. The show pool opens up at about noontime today. CapitalOTB.com. Put your name in the hat to get there. Fan Appreciation Day at the Woodlawn Branch tomorrow, Saturday. Stop by and take advantage of that. $100 play the board Saturday at the Clubhouse Racebook, and Sunday it's a double promo day. Match bet and exacta board, so keep that in mind also. And today, again, cookout day down at the Clubhouse Racebook between 1 and 5, $8 burger, hot dog, baked beans, pasta salad. So have some fun at the Racebook today, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Otherwise, come on up. Again, a little overcast, but right now it's very comfortable, very nice. A couple of nice stakes races coming up today. Certainly over the weekend, keep it in mind with the test, the Saratoga Derby, the Whitney tomorrow. Big Saturday lineup, and the weather is going to be very nice this weekend as well. So hopefully we'll see you up here. If we don't see you up here, we'll see you on the network tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the Handicappers Aboard, 10 a.m. for a Saturday edition of Racing Across America. We'll see you then.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off Exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at CapitalOTB.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.